So what's your take and takeaway off of what Steve Bisciotti said, even for that matter, what Roger Goodell said about his more or less his hands being tied by the process right now as it relates to Deshaun Watson, or really just the vibe around the owners' meetings and just what people are saying on and off the record about this groundbreaking contract given to Deshaun Watson?
Well, it's quite interesting because, every single time a quarterback gets a deal, it continues to go up. Now, I think that Deshaun Watson definitely surprised people getting that fully guaranteed deal from the Cleveland Browns. But, hey, again, the optics are bad. They're going to get all kinds of grief and everything like that. But the people who are really upset are the owners, particularly people like Bisciotti, who have to pay a quarterback right now. And people want to try to hate on Lamar Jackson and say, oh, he doesn't have an agent. He should be doing this thing. Lamar Jackson knows what he's doing. He's watching this quarterback market. He's very confident in himself. He doesn't feel like he needs to rush. Yes, he's had some injury issues, but he feels like, you know what? The longer I play this thing, the more the market's going to drive up. He's looking at Aaron Rodgers getting paid. He's looking at Deshaun Watson getting paid. He saw Josh Allen get paid, and he says, you know what, I'm worth all of that and more. And so now that Deshaun Watson get that fully guaranteed deal, you can bet your everything you've got that Lamar Jackson is looking, saying, oh, okay, yep, no issues for me. Pay me that way too.
So you say pay me that way. I'm wondering. Just let's throw some. Let's be a little reckless here, and speculate some informed speculation since we got you here, Mike Jones. But what kind of numbers are we talking about? You think for Lamar Jackson, like if he were to, propose a contract to the Ravens, are we talking about 50, 60 million a year? Just throw a number out there for us.
Yeah, he probably would try that. Look, but nobody's going to, Aaron Rodgers is probably at that ceiling there. But obviously, he's looking at these contracts in the way, look, if Kirk Cousins can get a fully guaranteed deal, that Lamar Jackson is saying, oh, come on. I know that I'm worth that right here. I deserve to be paid like these guys within that $40 to $50 million range. Hey, why not ask for 60 and see where it goes? Because you know that you are all that they have. And if you don't have Lamar Jackson, there will probably be somebody else that will be willing to pay that. And that's why he is not stressed over this, and he's taking his sweet time.
So now, going back to Cleveland, and I think, we'll talk about Jimmy Garoppolo in a second, but Jimmy Garoppolo's one thing. When Andrew Berry says, we ain't in a rush, we don't feel pressed, we're comfortable keeping Baker Mayfield, that's like, that sounds a lot like we just needed to create some cap space. So we just, that's why we're paying Deshaun Watson $1 million in the first year. It's like, again, I was born that night, but not last night. Ain't no effing way Baker Mayfield is going to be in the same quarterback room with Deshaun Watson and, for that matter, Jacoby Brissett. I mean, like, who we fooling here? So, right. I mean, are they just going to end up having to release him and just hold that L? Or is somebody going to buckle down and offer them something of value for Baker Mayfield before it gets time for them to actually report to work?
They know that they can't keep him here. And they also know that they don't really have much leverage, but they're going to try their behinds off to try to create whatever kind of leverage they can. But really, they will take whatever. Now, okay, they want to get as much as possible, but they know that, okay, look, right now, what are we in? The end of March, and they're not going to hit the field for a while. So you don't actually really have to move him, but they're hoping that as they slow play this thing, as they get closer to the draft, that the phone calls will come and maybe somebody missed out on a guy and they'll be willing to give up. Now, it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be something, with multiple picks and things like that. Matt Ryan got a third round pick from the Indianapolis Colts. They'll be lucky if they can get a third. It'll probably be more like a fourth or a fifth, but right now they'll just try to drag this thing out and try to get as much as they can, but they know they have to move him, and they don't want to keep that salary. They can't keep that salary on the books.
Well, speaking of salary on the books, $25 million that the Niners or something like that, the Niners are supposed to be paying Jimmy Garoppolo. See, I always thought it made sense to bring him back either as insurance, as a backup, competition, whatever you want to call it, for Trey Lance, given how the locker room feels about him and what they've done with Jimmy Garoppolo, or some would say in spite of Jimmy Garoppolo, in 2 of the last 3 seasons when he's been healthy for the most part. So he's got shoulder surgery. Nobody's trading for him now. I get that there's some posturing on the part of the 49ers, when it comes to Jimmy Garoppolo, saying, hey, we're comfortable bringing him back because, of course, that's, as we talked about with the Browns, that's what you have to say. But I also think it is realistic, and if not realistic, prudent on the part of the Niners to have an option in Jimmy Garoppolo, even if it means stunting the development of Trey Lance. Where do you come in on the Niners' logic when it comes to Garoppolo and how they play?
Well, they're saying that they have to keep him because for multiple reasons. For one, the phone's not ringing. Right. So nobody is calling about him. When I talk to people, this was even before the Carson Wentz trade, before all the trades started going down, a lot of people felt like Jimmy Garoppolo probably is at a ceiling right there. And he probably is actually worth more to the 49ers than some other team. Obviously, like you said, there's uncertainty about the shoulder. But there are people in that building who very much feel like, yes, we got to that Super Bowl and to 2 conference championships, not in spite of Jimmy Garoppolo, but he is very underappreciated in what he does. The locker room, those guys feel very much that on board. They want to win right now. Those guys saw Trey Lance in practice every single day for the last season. That dude is not ready in the minds of a lot of people there. Now, the only people's minds that matter is Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. But there are people who believe, like, you know what? We're better off. We're built to win right now. Let's roll with Jimmy again. If Jimmy gets hurt, then we'll go to Trey. But for right now, Jimmy give us the best chance to win. And so that's why, look, if he's there, $25 million, we're talking about quarterbacks making 30, 40, 50 million a year. So $25 million for a proven guy that you can win with. Yes, he has limitations, but you can't expect to turn to Trey Lance, who really has only played 1 season of football in the last 4 years, because remember, they lost the year to COVID. In high school, is way different than here. So it makes sense for them to keep Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think they're going to wind up doing that.
All right, Mike, let's figure this out here. We know you mentioned Trey Lance, and I asked Michael Smith this earlier this week. I think it was yesterday. I said, why did the Niners why they draft Trey Lance in the first place? And I'll ask it this way to you. If they could go back, they could just go back in time. They're still armed with all the picks that they have. They got their future picks, and they know the quarterback market, there'll be some movement. Now we know Matt Ryan switched teams. Russell Wilson switched teams. Trey Lance was, acquired by the Niners. If they could go back, would they make the same move? Or would Kyle Shanahan, for example, say, hey, wait a minute, I coached Matt Ryan in Atlanta and I got him an MVP, got him to an MVP level. Maybe I'll just go get him and hold on to all the compensation that we have. What would they do if they could go back in time?
I think they would make this deal again still. They would still take Trey Lance, but look at this. Okay, Matt Ryan, look at his numbers last year. They were not amazing, okay? He had 20 touchdown passes and I think something like 13 interceptions. The end is coming for Matt Ryan. They already have a bridge guy in Jimmy Garoppolo. They need a long-term solution. They still are very high on Trey Lance's abilities. Yes, it'll take some time to get him ready, but the good thing is you have a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, obviously, they were hoping that maybe somebody would call and offering, a first-round pick or some type of, handsome package for him. Did not do it, but it doesn't hurt them. But still, they feel like long-term, Trey Lance has special abilities. He can be one of these next young quarterbacks, dual threat with amazing passing ability as well. But it takes time. And again, this is a guy they knew was going to be a bit of a project. But when you look at this year's draft class, it's not like there's anybody that's, there's questions about all of those quarterbacks. There's not a whole lot of guys that are viewed as worthy as top 10. Somebody's going to get taken higher than what they should. When you look at next year, but you don't know where you're going to be falling in the draft of the 49ers. So that's why they took Trey Lance. They felt like he is a long-term solution for them. I believe they would do that again.
So last thing I got for you, Mike Jones, who is Aaron Donald.
Oh, you knew that was coming.
You can't go a show without doing. Sean McVay says Aaron Donald's coming back. They're working on a new contract. I think Aaron Donald's next contract should be as disruptive as he is. We talked about Deshaun Watson in the quarterback market. You look at the contracts that were given out in free agency to Von Miller as a for instance. Or C.J. Jackson, or J.C. Jackson, I beg your pardon. So what kind of numbers do you think, or do you know even, that the Rams are talking with Aaron Donald? Is Aaron Donald approaching this from the perspective of highest paid defensive player, which I think belongs to T.J. Watt after the extension that he signed? You correct me if I'm wrong. But it's like, is he looking at it through the prism of defensive players, or is this another shift that's about to occur where this guy is like, pay me like the best player in the league, regardless of position. Like, don't limit me to defensive player. You need to be. I got to go get these $40 million quarterbacks. I got to go get these $50 million quarterbacks. You know, I'm the one that, you know, that disrupts them. Will he end up getting paid more than Matthew Stafford, for crying out loud?
He's going to get money similar to that, I believe. Look, this was a couple years ago when he got that last big deal. He was one of the first, you know, non-quarterbacks to get a $100 million contract. This guy took over that Super Bowl and basically single-handedly slammed the door shut for them. I believe that he knows, no, not just best non-quarterback, pay me like I'm one of the best players in the NFL. And I think the Rams know that, hey, having this guy changes so much of what we can do. He will get money paying him like a quarterback, I believe. I mean, we saw, you know, wide receivers get handsome money, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill. You know, we're going to see, and look, they are behind. We saw a few years ago, him and Khalil Mack, again, they were paid $100 million deals. Now he's looking at this saying, hey, pay me like I'm a quarterback, pay him like I'm one of the best guys to ever play this game at any position, and I can deliver you another Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, give him piece of SoFi Stadium if you want it. You know what I'm saying? Whatever Aaron Donald wants, you give that man.
Hey, why not?
Make him happy.
Hey, you know what, by the way, y'all, I got to tell you this on the way out. I'll admit this publicly. Mike, I don't even think I told you this, Mike Smith. You know, on Super Bowl night, finally, at the end of the week, you know I got lost in that place? I got lost in SoFi Stadium trying to get back to
because you left. Yeah, because you left. You left the group. Oh, if you leave the group, if you get the field trip, you get lost. That happened to me too.
Mike Jones, I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen a stadium like that place.
Hey, look, I got done. It was probably like almost like 1:30 in the morning, and I kept on going around and around and down and up, trying to get out. Like, that place is amazing, and I would have to have a map, a GPS, just to find the. You know, I asked so many security guards, which way do I go now?
I'm telling you.
But I did find there though. Hey, you know what they find? They have a great African American art gallery. I didn't know that. Tremendous.
Really?
Yes, it's great.
Really?
I learned a lot about SoFi Stadium that I wasn't trying to find out at that time. But
it's so big that I walked around there and thought I saw everything, and I never saw the museum, the art gallery. So you know that's how big it is.
From your BFF, awesome. Your BFF Stan Kroenke. That's your boy right there.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.